All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Eleanor Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rich. We have a guest from just last week who was on, but now we're going to just go mano a mano. And that is Eyde Arndell. Hello, welcome back, Eyde. How are you?
Hi, nice to see you, Dave. What's going on?
You too. We're both in the exact same place as we were exactly a week ago to this moment. So very cool. So yeah, we just wanted to, because we had so many things like kind of like open ended discussions last week. Like we didn't really get to the brunt of a lot of them that we wanted to keep talking about. So I'm glad you did this. So yeah, you mentioned before about talking about the DNC, and we talked about the registered voters that want the ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you don't want a ceasefire, you're probably like a sociopath, but okay.
You're either in denial or you don't have YouTube or Instagram. I don't know.
I mean, it's nasty. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
Because no, it's, I mean, I heard today over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed. 40,000.
Oh, and that's a low estimate.
Since October 7th. Okay, so it's not even a year. You know how many American soldiers died in Vietnam? It was about 58,000, which is astonishingly high. Don't get me wrong. But that was over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
40,000 Palestinians dead. Okay, I want to do this later. Okay, so.
That's okay.
Okay.
Hey, you're talking about. I have lots to say about those things. So
I hope so. I would hope so. Let's talk about the DNC. What'd you think? It was a pretty intense rally. I mean, they were all really excited about it. The Democrats were. But go ahead.
I mostly watched the Disrupt the DNC, and I caught clips because it's very hard for me to take the empty rhetoric. You know, they didn't let the Palestinians speak, but they let an Israeli come speak.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah. Let the hostage free go and stuff like that, like the chanting and everything, and not a single Palestinian in the lots. Yeah. No, that was John Edwards on the Daily Show pointed that out quite explicitly. It was pretty cool that he did that.
Yeah, and then Chris Cuomo, which I've never really been a fan of, he was on the floor saying, "Do you see all those suites at the top? Entry level is 500,000, so you got to pay at least $500,000 just to be in the room."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They're up there saying, "We're gonna do all this stuff." I'm like, "No, you're not."
Well, no, and then, like, another thing too, like John was pointing out in his comedic sort of way, was you had Bernie Sanders like scolding billionaires, and then next up was our governor, Pritzker, who's a billionaire, and then of course you had people screaming against like the wealthy, and then you had like Oprah Winfrey, who's a billionaire, and Michelle Obama, and they're both wonderful in their own rights. Don't get me wrong, but she's worth $70 million. So it's hard to kind of take it seriously when when you're talking the talk, but you're not walking the walk. So go ahead.
Yeah, they're huge disconnect. They have no idea what our lives are like, and they haven't maybe for decades.
Right.
I mean, it's not the thing you came up in. Right. However you were raised before you got rich, that's not what it is anymore. People are struggling hard, and they don't see a path forward, especially young people. They can't get a house. It's hard to go to school. They're in debt. They can't have kids. Like, what are they supposed to do?
Right.
There's nothing.
Yeah, no. Did you see my post on Facebook? I know we just became friends today. The one with the rich person and the plant and the poor. Did you see that?
I don't.
You would remember. All right. So everybody go to David Rich RYCH. Check it out. It's pretty like I think it's probably the most accurate illustration of the American economy. Just go to my Facebook page.
I will definitely check it out. Okay. I've been in the YouTube tunnel today, so just been like.
I was too. Yeah.
Just like putting it on my Facebook.
Yeah. So yeah, no, YouTube is awesome. I love YouTube. There's just so much to learn from it. It's very cool.
Yeah, we were talking about before we came on, I was doing a little research recently. There is 161.42, like 420,000 million. Say that again. 161.42 million. That's how you say it. Registered voters. 49.1 of them are under the age of between 18 and 24, young people.
Right. Yep.
And that is 79 million people. If just them voted for Jill, we'd win.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. But I
Yeah,
think I have to caution you with the word "just" there.
I know.
Like like you.
I know.
Yes, that is correct. Mathematically, that works out.
There, no,
But
there is a path.
we're still the third parties are still a hard sell to a lot of people.
They are, but young
Yeah.
people are much more open to it,
Oh,
and
100%.
and
Yeah.
like you taking into account the people that don't vote, which they're a harder sell because they've given up. But I mean,
Right.
in other words, there is a path for people that say it can't happen. You're wrong.
That's just false. That it can't happen. No, I mean, there's a difference between possible and unlikely, or
Yeah.
impossible and unlikely. Sorry. Yeah, this the stack it's stacked against us for sure, statistically speaking, but it's definitely not impossible. It certainly could happen, and I think that if not this election, I think, and it maybe one or two more. I think the Green Party's profile is going to keep growing and growing, and Jill Stein is doing a wonderful job of assisting in that. People like her. She's smart. She's confident. She's courageous. I mean, she's a doctor. She's an MD, so she cares.
Mhm.
And she's got facts and truth and logic on her side. And I think that people don't in the duopoly don't think outside the box enough to realize that part of the Green Party's mission is to like stop war and imperialism, and I think most people would prefer that as well. It's just that they don't know how to get there.
Right. And I was watching some footage from the DNC today when Oprah was speaking. I mean, they're just like being conned. I mean, I feel like their whole audience is just being gaslit because, yeah, certain people will say, we want a ceasefire, like what Bernie was saying. Well, it's the Democrats doing it right now. So who are you talking to?
Yeah,
Who are you trying to
right.
convince?
See, I
You're not.
didn't see Bernie's thing fully. Did he say that? Did he bring it up?
Yeah, and so did AOC, but they don't
Oh,
point a finger. It's your party,
right.
you know.
Actually, I saw an interview they were kind of just a chat between AOC and Bernie Sanders about before Biden stepped down, where they were talking about how they don't agree with Biden on a lot, and they emphasize the ceasefire thing or lack thereof. But that they just feel like they had to kind of like support him because there was no better choice. And so yeah, but yeah, I mean, somebody posted today, if you vote for Harris, you have to step over the bodies of something like 15,000 dead children or something. I was like, wow, like it's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of look at it like if you can overlook that, in other words, if you still support them and you allow them to fund a genocide,
Yeah.
what else are they capable of? You're saying, you do whatever you want. And you don't think that's going to come home here? They're funding cop cities. There's like 80 being built around the country. Biden sent them military weapons. They are getting ready for us to like control us, And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
no, don't get me started on police. Um, I've
yeah.
done much
We don't know each other about that.
research on policing in America, and no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but you're right. Cop cities are just revoltingly absurd. I don't understand. Like, what do you need this huge fortress of cop training? Um, you know, uh, it's just going to exacerbate the situation, and it's already.
It's an empire in decline, and that's what they're going to do. They're just going to
Oh, okay, interesting.
try to control us,
Yeah,
Because eventually, enough of us will wise up, and I just hope it's soon enough to like make it not horribly ugly, and just
yeah.
change.
I hope so too. Like, I mean, I really hope we can solve these problems through, like Anna said last week, through the ballot box. But I was watching videos today about, like the rising anxiety of an inevitable civil war in this country, and like both sides are just pissed and like really just stop. I mean, they had like leftists, a trans person who started like a leftist militia, and then they went to the right side with the right wing lunatics, and so like both sides are like getting anxious and
Yeah,
itchy.
but you still will support that candidate that is making it bad. That's what I don't get.
Right.
It's like cognitive dissonance.
It is cognitive dissonance.
Just vote for somebody else then. Like what
Right.
do you have to lose? Stop believing the fear campaign.
Yeah, that's just it. Like the ultimate cause of well, that's not true. There's a lot of causes, but people not voting for third party is caused in part by the fact that they think that not enough other people will do it. So they don't do it because they don't think it will matter. The vote won't count. But the thing is that all the other people that they're thinking of aren't doing it for the exact same reason. So it's like this mass, like talking yourself out of something. When you all, or most of you, most people are really interested in third parties. I mean, the polls have been taken. We know this. It's over 50% of the American, the distribution you talked about of voters that do not identify as either Democrat or Republican, but they don't really know what else to do. So yeah,
we just got to take a chance just one time, and
I agree.
one time, just once, just.
But you will see changes happen,
and then people will be like, "Oh my God," it just takes one time.
I agree.
And people also say that the Green Party doesn't have other people running. Yes, they do. They have over 100 people running across the country.
There's the Green 13 in New Jersey. I interviewed most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's a great thing too. That they got together like that and said, and they had this catchphrase that is cool because it sticks in people's mind. It rhymes. So yeah, that's very cool. Yeah. No, exactly. No, that we're out there for sure. We're out there.
Yeah. So that's a misconception that I think needs to be talked about more. It's not just every 4 years we pop up like a jack in the box going, vote for me. No, the work is being done elsewhere. So.
Yeah, I think it's, just, campaign strategies and stuff like that, getting our name out there. I still think, that, Green Party members running for local offices is, first of all, far more accessible. Yeah. And also, you don't really usually run under a party flag in local offices. Depends on how local you're talking. Usually it's at the state level, maybe the county sometimes. At the county, where you start you have to be Democrat or Republican or whatever, or independent. But if you're running for village board or even mayor or something like that, you don't usually run under a party flag. So you don't have to associate your party affiliation with it when you run. And when you get in there, you can just let it be known that you're a Green Party member and that all these great, wonderful things you're doing for the local community come from Green Party values. That's my thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get health care and in my town, they're concerned about the trains.
You were mentioning that last time. Yeah, talk more about that. That's interesting.
What I don't have the website handy, but I think it's Public Rail now. They're trying to get together unions, like all those disparate unions, put them together to get public rail across the country because our system is collapsing. 3/4 of the money goes right back into the stockholders and people's pockets. Stock buybacks and dividend payments. So the infrastructure is collapsing. The last time I went, one of the few times I've ever been on a train, because I haven't been in Illinois forever. I haven't been here since 21, but I wanted to go to Chicago and I thought that'd be the easiest way. It got delayed for 4 hours because there was something stuck on the one track.
Trains are notoriously late because of that very reason. A big enough rock on the track and it's got to stop.
Tracks. So there you go. Because I guess they didn't fix it. I'm not sure of the details, but
I don't know.
And then cargo takes precedence over passengers. And whoever pays the most money, they get priority over food. I think they were saying, I think it was oil and gas gets priority over delivery of food.
Oh, that's true.
More.
Yeah. Train rides are wonderful. I will say that. I took a train from Portland, Oregon back to here in Northern Illinois. It's about a 48-hour trip, and it was awesome. I remember taking the train from Portland to Seattle all the time to visit friends, and train rides are wonderful. But that's the problem. Is you can end up being hours upon hours late. Roll the dice.
At 4 a.m. and then we're cramming something down for breakfast, and getting ready to leave, and they're like, "Oh, your train's been delayed," but they didn't tell us for how long. So should we go back to sleep? What are we doing?
Right. Right.
I'm a little sleepy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. I was at the March for All, and one of the campaigns they had was enacting 1881A from the Social Security Act, and the president could give everyone health care. I think we are.
Tell us what that act is. What does that mean? You mentioned it last time. Like, what about that authority gives the president authority to give everybody
in an emergency situation? I haven't read like the language in a
That's
bit.
okay. The gist is fine.
Yeah, they did it in a town that something happened to the entire population. I think it was some kind of like environmental issue. The whole town got healthcare, so there is precedent set, and the government gave it to them. So
okay, interesting.
I would say our healthcare system isn't an emergency. I mean, people aren't healthy. What is it, like 60,000 people die every year from lack of healthcare? That should qualify as emergency.
I agree. They probably freak out over far less numbers of deaths per year in other areas.
Yeah.
You know, they'll obsess over how many people die of, like, smoking marijuana, which is about 0, by the way. But they'll freak out. They'll make up all sorts of stupid crap about that. Yeah, exactly. They'll go after pot, but they won't go after, like, tobacco. There you go.
Exactly.
No, I agree. That's a very interesting point. Again, I think, like, if you're somebody who doesn't think that everybody deserves equal access to healthcare, there's probably something wrong with your mind. Because that you're a sociopath if you can just sit there and be fine with other people's suffering, which is what a sociopath is. So, like, I just like, why would you not want healthcare for everybody? That's crazy. That includes you and your family and your friends and your loved ones, and something like, everybody gets it. Like, why is that a problem?
And it's like 1/3 cheaper because you cut out the
much cheaper. It's much cheaper.
Yeah,
cut out the insurance companies. That's a massive cut. That's the thing with another thing. I'm going to go on my little rant for just a second. Okay. I'll give you the next second. Like, there's so many different types of, like, socialized, if you will, or universal access healthcare. Mm-hmm. Let's just call it that. I think it's Norway, where, like, okay, all the hospitals and clinics over there are privately owned. That's fine. You can open up your own, and it's yours, but it has to be nonprofit. So that keeps costs way down, which is very cool. In Canada, the WHO ranks Canada's healthcare system number 1 almost always, like, year to year. It's unbelievable. It's just always up there. They did that. It's just that you pay your taxes, healthcare taxes, to the government. The government allocates the money to the doctors and the hospitals. They got rid of the insurance companies. And it's just a far more efficient system. Like, insurance companies are ridiculous, and they're, the amount of money they charge for all this stuff. That's crazy. All right, God, that's my rant.
Yeah. One thing I like to say, would you rather buy wholesale or retail?
Yeah.
For people
that you think that somebody's health is like, exactly like the same sort of, like, commodity as, like, a car.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's not. Everybody's going to need healthcare at some point.
And you can't always tell when you do. Like, accidents happen.
Huh?
Yeah. I said, and you always know when you do need it. I took a couple bioethics class in college, and I remember one of the things that stuck with me was that, what was it? It's like 80 cents of each person's healthcare dollar is spent in the last 2 years of their lives, which makes sense, because that's when you get older, you get more problems. Mm-hmm. Point being is that, like, you can really, like, kind of, like, minimize that cost if you have healthcare, because then they're very tangential about its application. Like, this whole thing about, like, capping the insulin by Biden, that's only for people in Medicare. Like, everybody thinks it's, like, for all diabetics everywhere in the country. No, it's just for people in Medicare. Most people aren't in Medicare. Okay, so I'm a diabetic. I'm not on insulin yet. Probably will be one day. I'm not in Medicare, so I still get to have to pay $200 a month or whatever it is. I mean, so they always, like, leave out those, like, little details that are extremely important. Like, I just heard that the other day. I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. Okay, so you didn't really do that much.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that actually happened under Trump. Love him or hate him. And the Dems, they got in office, stalled it for 6 months so they could put their name on it.
These people are so ridiculous.
I hope that's not true, but it sounds true.
Oh, that certainly would not. I mean, I need to look it up. I don't want to, like, make a strong conclusion based on that.
Like, a little caveat.
But I mean, that wouldn't shock me by any chance.
Yeah. And not that I'm in favor of Trump whatsoever, because he wants to finish the job in Gaza. I heard him personally say that on Fox and Friends. So
I believe it. I think it would probably be worse if he was in office. I don't know.
Worse.
Like, I mean, like
Way worse.
he explicitly doesn't like Muslims, and so I mean, I would think that he might be a little more detached, but I mean, I don't know, but like it certainly wouldn't be any better. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, he also, a lot of people think he'll be better. I've had people tell me that. I said, but he moved our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, slap in the face.
Yeah.
And then he also said green light for Golan Heights, which is in Lebanon, if I'm right. I'm like, that's another country. So he said, yeah, go ahead and invade. It's fine.
Oh, it's so crazy. So crazy.
And then the Dems are just like pushing on Iran, like Iran. They say,
Tomatoes model.
You want World War III?
Like, yeah, no, that's what's scary. Is there's always like these, occasions where you get so close to this edge, and it just freaks everybody out, and it's just a small handful of people in the world that are like, controlling the destinies and fates of everybody else. It's just repulsive.
Yes. That's why, and we have the power. We just need to exercise it. We need to educate ourselves. Follow the money. You want to know what somebody's going to do, you just look at who the donors are. It's really simple, you guys.
It's pretty simple, yeah.
And that's
that's on both sides as well. Like, I remember it was Keenan Thomas from Saturday Night Live, who's a very funny person.
Yeah.
Was on at the DNC and like had people like on screen. And he was talking about Project 2025. And he's like, at some point, like, well, why would they do that? I was like, oh, it's possibly because, they want more pharmaceutical donations and blah, blah, blah. In the last presidential election, more Democrats received more donations from pharmaceutical companies than any Republican did. Like, it's a noted fact. So I'm like, this is just a lie. Like, this whole thing is just a giant lie. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I watched the Gray Zone interview. He was chasing people. Gray Zone. Aaron Mate and yeah.
Is that a band?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a YouTube. They do a lot of reporting, but they were at the DNC trying to interview people, and they were like calling out senators and stuff, and they ran into the guy from SNL, and he actually stopped and talked. He's like, well, why are you attacking me? He's like, because you're in here, you're being used to support the Democratic Party, and they still support the genocide. So what do you got to say about that? And that's pretty much all he was talking about, Max Blumenthal. There it is. Yeah. He's
yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the YouTube didn't allow him to post it. They gave him some BS reason. And then, so he went to Rumble, and that's where you can watch it if you go to the Gray Zone.
Okay. Gotcha. I'll have to check that
out. I love the people that just like stick the mic in their face and like, we can't talk to you. We can't hear you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
I think it was Cory that was the worst. He just acted like he couldn't hear him at all.
Whom?
So I think it was Cory Booker. He was taking selfies.
Oh, Cory Booker. Yeah.
Yeah. And Max is behind him, just like, hey, no, I don't hear you.
Was I don't remember the lady from Minnesota, Iman.
From Minnesota, Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan, yes, her. Was she there?
That
she's very outspoken against the Israeli
protesters. I know she did. Like, she was filmed with the protesters kneeling.
Oh wow! Okay.
And AOC FaceTimed during that. I'm like, that says a lot, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were talking about the amount of people that have been, they like to say unalived, in Palestine, in Gaza. 40,000 is the bare minimum because they have no idea. They can't count. They're under the rubble.
Well, Elvira Mihalko is saying it's 300,000. I'll have to check that. That seems pretty high.
Well, they can't tell because they won't let anyone in. And then entire families. Everyone in a family has been erased, and they're bombing all the libraries, all the records. They're trying to flatten it. We may never know, So, I mean, who's doing the counting if you don't let anybody in to check it?
Right.
So, the last kind of credible estimate was 187,000. That's dead. That's not talking about injured.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And not to mention, most of them have been displaced and are starving. So,
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It's pretty horrible. I don't see how people are overlooking it. I mean, I get it. We're trying to protect ourselves. Some people
I think that's probably the government's main argument, is that their first obligation is to the American people, not to anybody else. Is to protect them, and that Israel is just too important of a place in the Middle East concerning, like, terrorists, deterrence and stuff like that. I mean, there's too much American intelligence coming from, or intelligence coming from Israel to America concerning all the issues, that they're just, as a government, they're going to have to protect that. And it's just one of the reasons I really don't like governments, is because you look at, like, the vast majority of human atrocities committed in human history. Centralized power, I'll just call it that, is probably at the center of most of them, if not, well, probably not all of them, but
yeah.
I would say the vast majority. I mean, again, these very few people who have all this power over billions of other people is, to me, mathematically and proportionally messed up. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why do you get to go ahead and say we're going to nuke your country and kill hundreds of millions of people? What kind of possible authority could that be? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of what capitalism does.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's winners and losers, and the winners get more money, and then they win more, and then there's more losers, and eventually only a handful of people control everything, and that's kind of where we're
Yeah.
at.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. Capitalism is a ridiculous system. Absolutely ridiculous.
It needs guardrails. I mean, even if you don't want to get rid of it altogether, it needs guardrails that protects the populace, from just being, monopolies and being taken advantage of. I mean, we don't have a working wage. Nobody can live on the minimum wage anywhere in the country. Nobody can live on it at all. Even in
I mean, and then everybody freaks out. Governor, what's his face in California raised it to $20 an hour, but it was for fast food restaurants that have 60 or more locations nationwide, and, like, no less than something like 50 employees. So, like, everybody's figuring out, like, these mom and pop places are going to go out of business. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's for, like, the bigger companies who can clearly afford it, and everybody calm down.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what happened during COVID too. Some people made it, some people didn't. The ones that had the corporations, the big money, made it, but a lot of the mom and pops had to close because they couldn't survive. So
yeah, that was tragic.
That's Newsom, and he always has rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I lived in California for a while, for like a year,
San Diego, yeah.
And that's why I don't like Kamala. She was my senator, my attorney general. I can't remember I can't even remember the amount of things I was mad at her about, but one thing was she denied DNA evidence for somebody on death row.
Didn't somebody, was that Mother Diva that brought that up last week, or was it you?
It might have been me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can
you with her?
Can you talk? I mean, this isn't the first time I've heard about that, but can you talk about that a little more? Do you remember much details about that?
You can look it up. And she kind of reignited the death penalty in California when we were ready to get rid of it. I mean, she's basically the top cop. That's why they call her Cop Mala.
Well, I thought, did it come back? Because, I mean, there's this famous story of Charlie Manson. The day before he was supposed to be executed, California outlawed the death penalty, and that's why he stayed in jail for so long.
So I don't have the latest news.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's back in the 70s. So okay.
It's inhumane, it's it's unusual punishment.
It is very, that's, I mean, I don't understand it, like, because you've already removed the person from being a danger or a risk to anybody, so it can't be that, so some people, like, I just yes,
you aren't free to do what you want to do. That's punishment, and our system is not to rehabilitate people, it's to punish them. You want them to be members of society, or do you just want to punish them? And
I mean, there's this thing and ethics and philosophy of like the reparational or restorative justice versus retributive justice. Retributive is retribution. Like you did something wrong, you get punished. That's it. That's why. Why do I get punished? Because you did something wrong. That's the only reason. Of course, restorative justice is you did something wrong. We're going to remove you society because you might be a risk, and we're going to try to get you back to being a whole person again. Okay, a good moral person again. That's it's like it's back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, one of the things I watched, not really a fan anymore because Michael Moore has kind of went full dim crazy. But Where to Invade Next? I think, but Finland had the best school system because none of the kids had homework. They had free play, and they didn't test them constantly, but they succeeded. Their schools are some of the best in the world. I'm trying, and I know it was one of the countries near there that they just did that for their prison systems too. They just had a model where you can't be part of society, but we're going to help you rehabilitate,
right?
And make it kind of like communal living and teach you how to live with people. And he interviewed a guy, and he was in there for murder. And he's like, "Should I be worried that you're near knives?" He's like, "No." Because
interesting. That's really interesting. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, I mean, our judicial system, our prison system, that's all that needs to be fixed too. We have more people incarcerated in this country than any other country in the world. It's over 2 million people, and the second is Brazil with like 700,000. Like, it's not even close. Yeah, and that's per capita.
Free, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's some nasty governments out there, but they got nothing on us. Because I mean, I watch a lot of like cop shows and stuff like that. I do a lot of research on that kind of stuff, and you can go to jail for almost anything in this country. Like, it's really ridiculous.
It is.
The war on drugs is a big part of it. Like, they need to stop doing that.
Yeah, I mean, what does it matter what you personally do, as long as you're not hurting anyone else?
Well, that's just it. Like, if you're pro-choice because it's your body, well, then you need the logic there ranges over other issues as well. Okay, I mean, so yeah, I get you.
It's like I feel like I almost don't have time to drill down into every single subject because there's so much wrong. It's like information overload. I'm like, oh my God, this is wrong. Could this fix it? Here, I'm trying to give it to the people that could fix it, and like over here and over here, there's like fires everywhere.
There are fires everywhere. How's the weather down by you right now? You're in the southern.
Very hot.
It is. So it was hot. We just had a storm come in and go. Oh, the sky's yellow. Oh, it's got a tornado coming.
No.
But we had a heavy downpour come through just a little bit ago, which cooled things off, which is nice.
Yeah,
but it's brutal. People are dying.
Oh, really?
Because of the heat. Because of the heat.
Hibernating, and it's hard to do, but that's why I do the YouTube rabbit hole, I call it. Because I don't really want to go outside. I planted a dogwood tree in memory of my husband in the fall, and I'm out there just pouring water into it. Please don't die. Because it's been like the other day, it was like 103 when I got my car.
Man. And that's not even the heat index. So the heat index is like the wind chill factor in the winter. It's like how the heat feels, like how hot the heat feels to you. And it was like 93 degrees yesterday or something like that, and the heat index was like 107 or something. Like, it was just craziness. Yeah, and it's a record. We're breaking all sorts of records with our weather this year and last year and the year before that. Like, it's just, the line is just going up, folks. Oh, where am I? Am I backward? Yeah. It's doing this. But it's not going down. Just so you know.
I have a really good friend that lives in like the Antelope Valley in California, which is north of LA. And she's a postal worker. She delivers the mail to your house. Actual temperature 115.
No, thank you.
She's
thank you.
older than I am. She's in her 60s, and God bless her, she's still doing that stuff. I think it's amazing, but
that is amazing. I don't know how they. That's just nuts.
Yeah.
People can skip mail for a day, or two, but and just like let them stay at home. Yeah, no, it's bad. And I guess I also heard a thing on NPR where FEMA, or is it the EPA or both or something like that, do not consider heat deaths to be something the federal government should tend to. Like flooding, earthquakes, they'll send you all sorts of natural disaster reliefs. People start, falling over because of heat strokes and stuff. Like, oh, too bad. And it's but it's like the number one thing of natural phenomena that will kill people. Like as far as like weather-wise, like now mosquitoes actually kill more people than anything. But
they don't have to make sense. They make up the rules as they go along.
It's pretty silly. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we wanted to talk. We talked about that the voting thing. We talked about the DNC a bit. You want to talk about Jill Stein? We mentioned her, but like, what are your thoughts there? Did you meet her?
I got to meet her at the Green Party Mixer in Homewood
Right.
about a week ago. Yeah,
nice lady. I interviewed her briefly a couple months ago on the show, but yeah, very nice lady.
Yeah, very down to earth, very approachable, and she's, for me, out of the three, she's got the best ideas. I mean, RFK went to go work for Trump after he couldn't get in with the Democratic Party. So I guess he just wants a job. I don't know what he's doing.
I saw an interview with his sister last night. His family is
pissed.
Oh my God. Like, are you out of your mind? We're a Kennedy. Like, we helped build the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I mean, Jill is what brought me to the Green Party.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in the wilderness since Bernie. I worked for Bernie twice. I did it kind of unofficially in 2016, and then when I saw, the emails, wasn't that WikiLeaks that put that out?
Clinton's or his?
Where the DNC was working against him, W. Wasserman Schultz and John Podesta.
Oh, I don't know, but that's a big deal. Like, people don't realize like how dirty the Democratic Party is too. They sabotaged him on purpose because the higher ups in the DNC just did not prefer him as a candidate, even though he was winning. He would have won the primary if it was legit.
He would have won the presidency, I think.
And then the presidency.
Yeah.
If they screwed it up, it's like no, Hillary's going to do it. Like she lost twice now. That's not for that.
Hillary's kind of responsible for Trump. They elevated him. They paid. There's been evidence out there. I mean, I don't have all the links with me or whatever, but I read it more than once in several places that they wanted Trump to be the nominee because they thought it'd be an easy win. And that
no, you're for sure. That I remember that. Yes, 100%. They thought it was a no-brainer. Yeah, I remember when he first announced that he was going to run. Like everybody was like, "Oh, this is ridiculous," and then it just slowly kept going up, and I'm like, they're like, I remember going to bed on election night, still convinced Hillary was going to take it. Like I remember when I was going to he was ahead a little, like, oh, whatever, he's going to win. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and it said that he was a winner. I was like.
I saw what the time was turning because I was in San Diego at the time, so I got to see a little more. And I'm like, I have to go to bed. And is there any alcohol in the house? Because I'm not going to be able to sleep.
I can't handle this.
But one other thing about that, whenever that came out about the emails and they were working against Bernie, it's kind of like they had it in their hip pocket. The very next day was the big Billy Bush, the Trump video where he said all the horrible things about women. I'm like that wasn't planned. You weren't just like, wait, we'll shoot that out there. The attention is off of what they did. Yeah. And I'm very disappointed in Bernie because he should have left that convention and said, I'm running as an independent and he'd be our first independent president.
I actually sent he and AOC I don't know, it's an email, or I might have posted something on a show if they were on. Mm-hmm. That they should. I'm like, you guys scream like Green Party values. Why don't you just come over here and bring all your fans with you, and then we'll win every election. Put
your money
where your mouth is. They didn't respond.
Yep. And then in 2020, I actually helped out with the campaign. I volunteered. I knocked doors. Did
you meet him?
No, I got to see him speak in San Diego. There was 12,000 people there.
You got that thing with his hand.
Pardon?
This is how he talks. He's always doing this with his hand.
Yeah. I got to be in the room, which was really cool. That's when I thought he was really going to fight, but then he said, "Joe Biden's my friend." I said, "He's not my friend."
Yeah, what was that? Well, okay.
Yeah, I've never liked Joe. Iraq War is for one, you know. So he was instrumental in starting that stuff, and it's affected my family, and can't vote for that. Sorry, you know.
Yeah. No, I am. That's what we're gonna.
I was just gonna say maybe that's what it'll take in this country for it to become very personal for people, and I don't want it to get there. I mean, I can see the writing on the wall. It's like, everybody just, look, just do a little deep dive, and you'll be right here with us.
Well,
Follow the money. Don't believe what they say. Look at what they've done. Somebody that's been posting. We've been kind of going back and forth on Facebook. He posted what all the policy positions they were talking about. So I copied it, and I'm going to sit on it until the next election, and then I'm going to remind him. But
okay.
they've all this. So how much of this got done?
Right.
You still going to vote for him?
Right.
Yeah. Is that petty? I know.
No, not at all. Like, I mean, campaign promises are probably, the biggest con job in America in any sector of our society. I'm like, it's just like, and I'll get this done. I'll get that. It's, no, you either you won't or you don't know that you will, and stop the empty, vacuous promises. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, give me somebody who's like, I would love somebody who's genuinely like, you know what? I'll try to do this, but if there's all these complications and bureaucracies and stuff like that, and okay, cool. I get that. I understand that.
Exactly. I mean, when's the last time you heard them even say the words Medicare for all?
I can't recall.
Biden said he would veto it.
I know.
Distinctly during the debate. Right?
Yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah.
But he had this other idea of like offering Medicare for whoever wants it, and then if you don't have to. And that hasn't happened either.
Which is like the system, because everybody that has no money will go there or no job, right, as the economy gets worse.
Right. Yeah. And you put such a strain on the fragile systems in place now that they just like fracture. Mm-hmm. They get just about every system in this country, from socio-political to economic, is like unsustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. But
like it's just designed. They're designed to fail. What's that?
I said, yeah, but trust us, we got this, right? Like,
yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we'll see. So I know. I know some. Dr. Guy McPherson. He's a world-renowned biologist. He was on the show a couple times, and he's a bit on the extreme side. But he's a PhD in biology, and predictions are very hard to make, especially when it comes to global phenomena, because you have 8 bajillion gazillion variables and constant reconfigurations. But climate's a little bit easier because it's more of a grander sort of a vast look at things. So it's a bigger pattern, so it's easier to notice. But he thinks we got like 2 or 3 years, and like if we don't do something, like it's over. Like we're past the critical point. There's no turning back. Well, he thinks everybody's going to die in like 2 years. I don't. That seems a bit extreme. But there is the point of no return for climate change is approaching us very, very quickly. Some think we've passed it already, that there's really no going back to like pre 1.5 degrees Celsius rise in temperature since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. But that since we're past that at least a little bit, the really drastic effects of that won't happen until the end of the century. But this guy thinks it's a couple of years. Most people that I see say it's about 2040 to 2050. Whenever it is, it's like, you have to consider the future, especially, do you have children? I mean, do you care about the world that you leave them, and that kind of thing? Like, it's just, you really got to get out of your own head and realize that there's a bigger thing going on.
Yeah, I think the problem is so overwhelming that people don't know what to do with it, and they can't.
It is overwhelming.
It's easy. It's harder to see, but with the way the temperatures are now, I think it's fairly simple to see.
I think that like this year's heat and the wildfires and the hurricanes and tornadoes and everything else, I think that like local weather stuff is going to get people to notice, to pay attention, because you don't really notice, or at least you don't care until it happens to you. And I don't know if that's just human nature. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, that's most people most of the time. So when you start saying, like, the weatherman says, like, look at how hot it is outside, and we were breaking a record that was set, 120 years ago, people start going, I wonder if there's something to this climate change thing, because it keeps going up and up and up, and so hopefully, people should pay attention to those sorts of things. So.
Yeah, and the people that will suffer are the people that are vulnerable. The poor,
Mhm.
the working class.
The minorities. Oh yeah, because they put all the. There's already been studies done that show that like the minority areas, the poorer areas, which are usually minority populated, suffer more greatly from like heat and stuff like that, and blizzards and so on, because there's this little that it's structured so poorly. The infrastructure is so bad; it just has a more harsh effect in those areas. Yeah, oh, yeah, no, it's ridiculous because the people who built the infrastructure did that on purpose. They literally built expressways and tollways and stuff like that through minority neighborhoods because they didn't care and left them no
Right.
on-off ramps,
Yeah,
none.
I've seen it. I've driven like
Oh, you gotta be kidding me, man.
over sections of town that you can't even see how they're surviving. Well, one thing that I did, I think I showed this to you last time, my little list, and I think it's even gotten better because more states are on the ballot for Jill. On the ballot, when I did this over a month ago, it might have been 2 months. 299 electoral votes. She's already on the ballot for those, and then pending was 105. So just those two together, if all the ones that are getting verified now, that would be 404. So she has a path to win.
Interesting. Okay.
And if we minute
So the amount of states where she's on the ballot, she could get 404 electoral votes. You
yep,
need what? 280, 270, 280? 280, I think.
270.
270. Okay. Well,
And
that's hopeful. Thank you. I appreciate
one
that.
thing that I need to kind of look into more, but everybody can remember that Hillary won the popular vote but didn't win the election.
By 3 million.
Yeah. Trump didn't win California, New York, or Illinois, but he still won.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that path as well,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fair enough. That's
Yeah.
a good point. That's a good point. I thought you were going to go a different direction with that, but yeah, no, that's that's a good point there.
Well,
Yeah, well,
typically cannot break free of the blue yet. I have hope for them at some point, but
who can?
the California, New York, and Illinois
Oh.
so far, but I'm hopeful for Illinois. I'm going to work on it. So, they didn't go for Trump, but he still won. So there you go.
Yeah.
I would like a popular vote.
Like get rid of the electoral college.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like I even find the logic of the founding fathers to be a bit peculiar when it came to setting that up. I mean, I understand their wants, their hope was to like so that like California didn't just like control everything Wyoming did, kind of thing, because there's that. So like, but I mean, it still tallies out to be the same way usually, not always, but and it's just not a direct vote. I mean, it's just. Like why wouldn't like if the entire country is voting for this one position, it should be the majority. The democracy means majority. That's what
Yeah.
it means, And then there's actually some philosophical problems with that because you have 51% telling the other 49%, which is still a lot of people how they're going to live their lives. But whatever. But if you want it to be a democratic system, then it has to be majority rule. Otherwise, it's not a democratic system. Okay, it's very simple.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she should have been president, and Al Gore should have been president.
Yeah.
Even though I voted for Nader, a lot of those people wouldn't have voted at all. I think I didn't like either one. I wouldn't have voted for either one. So there's that part. But because of 9/11, they didn't investigate it. They didn't release their findings that, the big hanging Chad thing in Florida, Gore actually was in Florida, but like, wow.
Yeah, no, I remember the hanging Chad thing and the how controversial that election was, and the Supreme Court just put the kibosh on any like progress. It's like, oh, screw it, just you win. That's it. George W. Bush is our president. Like, what? Are you kidding?
Yeah, our first appointed president was George W. Bush. Yeah, because Supreme Court decided he won.
You're right. No, I never really thought of it that way, but you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
And I went,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Our founding fathers I think they developed the Electoral College because they had to travel to actually bring representation to a certain space to be able to vote. But what's our excuse now?
So like instead of hauling like, a bajillion ballots somewhere, they could just haul like 10.
They could vote, like their community would vote
Right.
representative.
Just centralize the process or something, simplify the process. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But the process has to be fair. I mean, all the efficiency doesn't mean anything.
You think we can do better now?
Well, I don't know.
Feels like we should be.
Well, I hope so. But like, Georgia just made these insane rules where they're like, taking it from like whatever it is, 20 to 60 days to like for them to figure out who won and stuff like that. And everybody thinks that they're going to use it to manipulate the votes and like, ransack people's voting and so on. And like Biden and Harris are like on it because it's like so crazy. Because that's still the state where I heard that what's our attorney general's name in the Jack Smith. John Smith. The guy who goes after Trump. Anyway, I guess he set a new set of charges against Trump. Trump still could go to jail, folks, by the way. He hasn't been sentenced for the 34 things that he got found guilty of. The sentencing is not happening. No, I agree with your shaking of the head. It most likely will not happen. Yeah. But I'm not just saying, like, I just heard that the other day. I'm like, oh, that's right. He hasn't been sentenced yet. So there's still, the possibility of getting rid of one of them. Like, I'm thinking, like, do they have a backup, or would the JD Vance just be their back? He's such a creep. You guys are so weird.
Yeah, I don't know where he came from. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my friend and I made a bet because she thinks both of them will not make it to November, one or both. And I said, so now I already owe her dinner because Biden dropped out. But I said, I think
she doesn't think that Trump or Biden would make it.
Yeah, and somebody can take him out as well. So, I almost owed her 2 dinners in a bad way. But I mean, I don't want anything to happen to him. I just don't want him to be my president.
Yeah, well, okay.
Go on about your merry way, and if you did something wrong, you should pay for it. But I think the system is just so corrupted that they will prop them up until the very end, until we take our power back. Yeah, we need to take our power back.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I hope that Jill Stein keeps going and he keeps trying. Do you have any updates on her? I haven't really heard much about her recently.
Wisconsin.
Huh?
They just won they were being sued in Wisconsin, and they just won their lawsuit, and they're on the ballot. So.
Okay. Where does she live? Does she live out east? Where is she from? She's from out east, right?
I'm not sure. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I've never really looked into it.
No.
But if you go to jillstein2024.com and look at the ballot access, you can click on the map and see what you can do in your state. And it's looking very green. I have to say that much. So, and more online all the time. So
good. I think that just the controversy and the heat of this presidential, the last couple, is again, I think it's fueling the third party situation here. I think people are really just like disgusted. Like, this is just so gross. It's
yeah.
They really want a third option. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Keep at it. That's where you go.
I think Gaza has opened people's eyes to
that's huge.
The unresponsiveness of our government. When 2/3 of the country say stop sending them money, and yet they still send them money all the time. So
no. There was a study that go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, there was a study done by Yale or Harvard or something like that, where they showed that like the amount of laws and policies and so on that are voted in on by Congress and public sentiment and the percentage of that. And it's like this. Wait, no, I'm doing this wrong. So like Congress is like, so it's like something like, like 80% of the things they vote on actually goes against the majority view of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever we want has 0% chance with the government we have.
Right. And like they tallied up the rich people's consensus about things, and it went up. It literally did.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And AIPAC was never registered as a foreign agent. And now they are putting money into campaigns to defeat people.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah, AIPAC is a nasty little thing.
But
you can lobby if you want, but
Yeah. But if you're a very wealthy lobbyist, what you want, they write the legislation and hand it off. So, yeah.
Well,
And
no, it's true. I mean, look,
things that are huge, like where's that? Ah.
yeah, exactly. It's hard to figure this out. But yeah, no, it's true. Look, it's like the size of some of these documents and bills and so on, and look at just like the language and the legalese used. You think Marjorie Taylor Greene could write something like that? She couldn't probably write her own name, let alone. So yeah, so I mean, it's not our legislators who are like actually doing this. They'll pass a bill or not, but they're not writing it up. And I find it hard to believe they're actually checking to see what was written.
I don't think they are. How can you? I don't think they give them time. They don't have that many staffers. And then if you've ever called your senator's office or your congressperson, those staffers have no idea what their person is doing. They know nothing. They're just a taking notes. Okay, I'll pass that along. That's all you ever hear. Well, they're supposed to be there today. The vote is in an hour, and you don't know how they're going to vote. Like, that's kind of strange to me.
Yeah, it's a lame system. It's a super lame system.
Or you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
because the conversation is so wonderful, like we're almost done. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a sign that like I'm actually enjoying the conversation thoroughly.
Yeah, I enjoyed it well.
Good. Anything you want to say here at the end? We got about 3 minutes.
Vote Jill Stein. Get involved. Donate if you can. Farmers markets are a great place to spread the word. I passed out probably 100 palm cards. I think they got printable stuff on the website. So just
it's just like Green Party information kind of thing, like a little pamphlet or something.
Yeah, and it's really easy, and you don't even have to engage with people that much because most people just want to walk on by. I never get people on the way in. I always get them on the way out because I don't want to interfere with their getting the freshest tomatoes or whatever they want. And I just hand it to him and say, vote for the greater good, because she is.
So. Do you get any resistance or pushback, or is it pretty receptive? Any MAGA weirdos like screaming at you that you're Satan or something?
No. I did run into a guy that had a dump Trump hat on. He was all freaking out and saying stuff that was not even close to true. So he got Hezbollah and Hamas mixed up, and I don't know, but he supports Kamala. And I'm like, okay, bud, like whatever.
Most people don't understand.
This next 5 people that might listen to me, and then you'll get a little pushback from people that want it more left. But this is our best option right now. And if you want it to change, get involved, get inside the party, make it better.
Right.
Dems and Republicans have locked all of us out, so we got to go somewhere. And Greens.
I don't think I could even stomach if for whatever reason I left the Green Party, which I have no intention of doing. I don't think I could stomach being a part of either one of those. I definitely couldn't be a Republican, but I don't even think I could like feel good about myself like trying to register as a Democrat.
No, I mean it's
knowing what I know.
It's gaslighting 101, both sides. So come here where people are real and they actually talk to you and care about what you think.
Yeah, and have just better ideas and better values.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much there, Eyde Arndell.
You're welcome.
All right. So fabulous. So, folks, this is going to be my last show for at least a bit. Not sure. Just taking a break here. Going to hand the torch off to somebody else if they want it. Maybe Eyde will be the new hostess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Somebody should pick it up. I would say it's a good show. It's worthwhile, I think. And, I just need to do some other things for a while. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody. Eyde, thank you for tuning or for coming on the show. Absolutely. We'll be in touch with you about other things. Otherwise, and folks, thanks again for tuning in to the Eleanor Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, be good, be green. All right, what am I doing? Ending stream. Oh, don't go anywhere.
Okay.
There's a delay, so don't incriminate yourself.
I always throw at the heart. You see it? There it is.
Are you going to stop? Are you going to end? What are you going to